Imagine you and a couple of friends in a bar, just talking, complaining about life, and then suddenly Elon Musk walks in. Just like that, the average income in that bar goes all the way up to billions of dollars. On paper, everyone is now one of the richest people in the world, even though he didn't give any of you any money or even paid for your drinks. But just sitting in the same room as him makes that room average income and wealth go up. This is exactly how GDP per capita can be misleading. It tells you the average, but not the distribution. It can make a region seem richer than it really is for most people living there. First of all, GDP is the total value of all goods and services a country produces in a year, like cars, bread, haircuts, massages, subscriptions, and whatever else you pay for in a whole year. And then GDP per capita is taking that value and dividing by the whole population. That's it. And this is really the problem I have. For years, people have pointed to GDP per capita as proof that a country and its people are rich, developed, successful, and all that. They use it to rank countries whose first world and whose third world. It's the one number that is expected to capture an entire population's living condition. And the people who annoys me the most are the ones with some insane claims that poor states in the US like Mississippi and Alabama are richer than many European countries because of their GDP per capita. They make those states sound impressive. But the truth is, GDP per capita is an average, and like any average, it can be extremely misleading. Like the example I gave you earlier, a small number of very wealthy people or a few big industries can push the numbers way up, while most of the population sees none of that wealth. So using GDP per capita to judge how well people are actually living is a miscalculation. This is why you see so much poverty in the US and wonder why. When you are told that it's the richest country in the world, a couple of people cannot own hundreds of billions of dollars and think that that means a high quality of life for everyone. Quality of life starts with access. Access to better education, better health, better food, clean water, and so on. Even though the US arguably has universities that are superior than the ones in Europe, but their so-called universities are not that accessible to the average American. They are too expensive. As for Europe, many of their best universities are either free to the general public or highly affordable. And Europe also beats the US in better public schools, better healthcare, better working conditions. The only thing they both have in common is insanely expensive housing. It seems to be everywhere these days. But other than that, the average European generally enjoys a better quality of life than the average American, despite low GDP per capita figures. We can't argue about this. You really gonna tell me that the average guy in Detroit is living better than the average Frenchman? Be for real, man. Also, the US has a higher poverty rate than most of Western Europe. For example, the US has a high GDP per capita than Denmark. Denmark has 0.8% poverty rate, literally less than 1%, while the US is at 11%. GDP per capita is inflated by very wealthy people. The top earners pull up the figures. It doesn't reflect distribution. High inequality means the average hides poverty. The well-being of the average person is not actually getting better despite rising GDP figures. Wages could stagnate for decades, but as long as the rich are getting richer, GDP will keep growing. And the GDP per capita will look even more impressive. That's what happens with average. People like LeBron James pushes the average height up, and people like Kevin Hart brings the average height back down. You go to a restaurant with 10 of your friends and order a pizza with 10 slices. Everyone's supposed to get one slice. But then you grab 5 slices and run to the bathroom. But then you come back 10 seconds later after eating them all. Your boys will be disappointed, but the average calculations don't care. On paper, 10 slices, 10 people, the average is 1 slice. Numbers don't lie. You ate 1 slice each. Something like this happened to San Francisco. Tech jobs made it look like the whole thing was going up. Those new high earners can actually make it a living hell for the locals. But when we crank those GDP per capita numbers, everything looks good. It actually makes the city look like they are living in a golden era. So am I suggesting that we should stop measuring or caring about GDP per capita? No, not at all. But you should stop going around flexing on other nationalities, looking down on them, because your GDP per capita figures are bigger. And also you should know Gini coefficient. It's another measure that can put things into perspective. For those who don't know, Gini coefficient is a number that shows how unequal the income or wealth is in a country. Basically measures the gap between the rich and the poor. The higher the number, the bigger the gap. And they do it between 0 and 1. Zero meaning perfect equality. Everyone has the same income. One means perfect inequality. One person has everything and the rest of us, I don't know, probably slaves. For example, the US is at zero point 0.5, so right there in the middle, while Western Europe tends to be between zero point 0.2 and zero point 0.3. A country like Denmark has zero point 0.2. So please consider subscribing. I'm still new here. I'm still trying to figure this out. Thanks for watching though. Goodbye.